Hey everyone, Firegrass here, and today we're going to be talking about why the Battle Pass was a total failure. Something I don't talk about very often is that prior to my current job, I actually went to university to study business and psychology. Marketing happens to be right up my alley. And if you don't believe me, just think back to the time last League where I made you all play Tornado Shot Occultist even though none of you had any fucking idea what you were doing. So what is a Battle Pass? Well, a Battle Pass is basically just a seasonal transaction which offers players a variety of cosmetic items as a reward for completing a set of objectives. And why a Battle Pass is made? Well, unsurprisingly, the video game companies make Battle Passes in order to make more money. Companies make money through their Battle Passes in three ways, and the first and most important is encouraging the sale of the Battle Pass in the first place. The first way that they encourage the sale is to offer exclusive rewards. They exploit the fear of missing out, basically, and GGG actually nailed this one on the head. I have no interest in the Battle Pass, but I'm probably still going to buy it anyway, because there is an exclusive Headhunter skin, and even though I don't have plans on playing any Headhunter characters anytime soon, I don't want to one day be caught playing a character using a Headhunter and then have some idiot in the YouTube comments calling me out for using an unskinned Headhunter. Another way to encourage the sale of a Battle Pass is to offer really good value for money. You can basically compel people into making impulse purchases because they think they're getting a really good deal, even if they don't need that thing at the time. So I'll just give you guys an example. The other day, about 2 weeks ago, I walked into the bottle shop intending to buy some wine, and I saw Jaeger that was 30% off. I don't drink Jaeger, but now I do. The final psychological component in encouraging the sale of a Battle Pass is to make the rewards have a sense of prestige by associating them with difficult challenges. Having prestigious rewards associated with difficult challenges doesn't even have to be specific to a Battle Pass, and it has a long established history within video games. If you think back to games such as World of Warcraft, each level of rating had a tier set that had a different coloration, and the highest level of rating had a tier set that even had a slightly different physical appearance, in addition to what was often the best recoloration. On the other hand, if you look at games such as Call of Duty, I know if you have a golden camo on your gun, you've probably been banging my mom quite a lot. Battle Passes aren't just about the sale of the Battle Pass itself, however. They can increase the amount of revenue a company makes by encouraging you to purchase additional microtransactions through other parts of the game as well. One very effective way of achieving this is to have the challenges require players to try out new aspects of the game that they may not have played previously. By forcing players to try out a bunch of different activities, they might find an activity that they really like that they didn't know that they liked before. For example, I didn't touch Blight very much when Blight League came out, and even after Blight League, but I think back in Ritual League, one of the endgame grinds required, I think, 50 Blighted maps to be completed, and in the process of grinding through those 50 Blighted maps, I realized I actually really enjoyed the Blight mechanic in the end, and so ever since then, I've been looking forward to playing Blight in every single league. This has a few benefits. For a start, most of the time when I farm Blight in a league, I create a new character to do so. Creating a new character to farm Blight often requires playing a skill that I haven't played before, and if I'm playing a skill I haven't played before, I probably don't have any MTX for that skill. So I'm probably going to buy the MTX for that skill. It also prevents me from burning out too fast, because I'm no longer doing only Delirium, I'm doing some Delirium, I'm doing some Blight, and then some other things. I'm not getting bored of any particular activity too quickly. It means that I'm going to play for a longer time in each given league, and it also means that I'm going to come back next league with the same amount of enthusiasm. The final effect of this is to basically afflict players with sunken cost fallacy. As a player tries out more aspects of a game, they become more invested in the game. They start to learn more about the game, and then they become far more reluctant to quit because they've dedicated so much time and so much knowledge towards learning this particular game and getting good at this game and all of the different facets of the game, that it's hard to then start over from scratch with a new game, especially considering how much it took to learn that game. One of the reasons why I keep playing Path of Exile even when I'm bored of Path of Exile is because I don't want to have to start from scratch on EVE Online, for example. I know how hard it was to become good at Path of Exile, and I don't want to have to go through that process all over again in EVE Online, so I'd rather just keep playing Path of Exile even when I'm bored. Now, the final way for Battle Pass to make more money out of players is to make the challenges time-consuming and more or less just encourage players to play longer than what they otherwise would have. Studies have shown that people who are paid fortnightly rather than weekly are far more susceptible to being irresponsible with their money immediately following being paid. So if you extend playtime by, say, on average a week for an average whale. That whale then has a 50% chance to extend into the next pay cycle and buy a bunch of MTX that they wouldn't have otherwise purchased. If you look at how people typically spend money, when people have money, they find reasons to spend it. You very rarely hear of lotto winners who win the lotto and then invest their money wisely. Quite often people win the lotto and then run out of money a few years later because they've just been totally irresponsible with their money. They attain money, they spend the money. And by making players play longer, they're more likely to spend more money on microtransactions. Additionally, you end up with players playing more of your game and less of other games. By playing less of other games, they're less willing to spend money on those other games, and that means they have more money to spend on your games. Players who play your game longer are going to feel more compelled to support your game, and they're going to find it easier to justify spending money on a game that they've been playing for hundreds of hours recently, as opposed to only, say, 10 or 20 hours in the last few months. Before we move on, I should point out, GGG's Battle Pass today failed at all of this. The Battle Pass's challenges simply require you to fill out your map. That's not very hard to do, and I think for the majority of people who buy the Battle Pass, they'll earn 6 out of 7 of the rewards immediately just from having naturally progressed their Atlas. There's no difficulty associated whatsoever, there's not going to be any sense of prestige associated with the rewards, and these challenges are not going to keep players playing longer. I don't know of anyone who decides that they're done with a league, but they're going to keep playing just to fill out their Atlas. The reward structure of a Battle Pass needs to be broad enough for everyone to feel like there's something in it for them. Today's Battle Pass only came out with 7 cosmetic effects. Of the last 3 builds I've played, or the 3 builds I've played this league, only one of them would be affected by a single item on that list of rewards. It's not broad enough that I feel like the Battle Pass is really worth my money, and that's a very important part of my decision making. If I wasn't a content creator, I probably wouldn't be buying the Battle Pass, and I still might not buy the Battle Pass. At the same time, you can't have the Battle Pass be so rewarding that people are less likely to spend money on other microtransactions. For this reason, you want to avoid selling people complete sets of things. If you look at the supporter packs, the reason they sell full sets of gear is also because they're so expensive, or you can look at it vice versa. By buying the supporter pack and spending so much money on it, you're less inclined to buy additional MTX because you now have a free set of armor, basically. I don't think I've ever bought any set of armor that doesn't come from a supporter pack, mainly because the supporter packs offer me these sets of armor periodically that are good enough for me. If I were to buy armor sets individually, I'd be spending much more money, and I also wouldn't feel as satisfied with my purchases because those purchases wouldn't come with additional points. The best types of rewards are rewards that require additional MTX purchases to complement the ones you got for free, or the ones you got as part of the Battle Pass. If you look at the challenges are a great example of this. Often you get things like wings or a helmet, things that don't really go well with very many things that you already have, but you feel compelled to buy additional MTX sometimes in order to complement what you receive for free. Finally, every good Battle Pass should be front-loaded with the most generic rewards so that people can feel an instant sense of gratification. Instant gratification is all the rage among young people nowadays, and if you're not exploiting it, you're doing Battle Passes wrong. I'm not here to encourage video game companies to exploit young people or anything like that. I'm simply giving a professional analysis of how these things go. I'm not giving any opinions, I'm not saying it's good or bad, I'm just saying if you want a successful Battle Pass, you need to be taking advantage of this. You want people to spend their money and to instantly feel rewarded. Even if those rewards are meaningless or they don't do much for the player, the fact that players can spend their money and instantly get stuff back is really good. And I think that GGG actually hit the nail on the head here by putting the Watcher's Eye as the free reward. So when you buy the Path of Exile Battle Pass today, you receive the Watcher's Eye reward for free, and that's probably the best one because the Watcher's Eye is something that almost every build runs, which means you're going to instantly feel rewarded, you're going to instantly get use out of the Battle Pass, and you're going to at least feel slightly as though you had spent your money well. Before I get onto the controversial part of this video, let's wrap up and talk about what a successful Battle Pass looks like. So a good pass should enhance the experience of a new release to a player. Basically, people are paying, or people want to pay $30 to feel like they're getting more out of the patch than the people who didn't spend the $30. They want to feel like they've been given an extra set of goals to work towards, extra things to do, extra rewards, It basically enhances every aspect of their experience. If you think about Path of Exile, we're not playing it just for the difficulty, just for the grind. We're also not playing it just for the rewards. You know, I don't play Path of Exile just so that a week later I can say, hey, look at my auto bomber with a mage blood. I'm playing Path of Exile both to overcome the difficulty and then cash in on the rewards and have a good build to show for having overcome that difficulty. A good battle pass should make people feel like they spent their money well so that they buy future battle passes. This is a recurring transaction as far as you want it to be, or as far as a video game company wants it to be. You don't want this to be a one-off where you have tricked people into spending 30 of their hard-earned dollars and now they're going to have buyer's remorse. Nuh-uh-uh. You want people to go home feeling like they did the best damn thing they possibly could have with that $30. They want to reflect on the fact that they could have spent that $30 on a handful of pizzas or some coffees or something, and they spent it the best possible way. They got insane value for money. They had a great time on their favorite video game. A good battle pass encourages longer play hours without being so grindy that it's going to start causing burnout. That's not me trying to take a stance or an opinion on this and to advocate against bad practices. That's me explaining the mindset of a marketer, right? You don't want people to get burnt out because then in the future they won't play your game as much. If you look at games such as World of Warcraft, they focus so hard on bumping up monthly active users that in the long term it hurt their game. People became too burnt out of all the chores and decided that even though they played lots that month and lots the month after that they completely checked out and didn't want to play World of Warcraft anymore. Let's reflect now on how all of this information relates to the Battle Pass that we want to discuss. How did GGG do today? Well, exclusive rewards, they knocked that one out of the park. This is the shittest Battle Pass I have seen in my goddamn life, and I might still buy it just because they have exclusive rewards. This should probably not be rated out of 5, this should probably be rated out of 50 on its own, because it's so goddamn important to a lot of people. 5 out of 5. Good value for money, this only gets a 2 out of 5. Now, you can look at it from the perspective that each of these microtransactions, when combined, probably are worth more than $30 compared to GGG's normal pricing for microtransactions. But is it good money for value just in general? Probably not. You probably didn't want to buy a lot of these microtransactions in the first place. A lot of them aren't going to affect you, and GGG already has a very overpriced standard for their microtransactions. So it's very hard to objectively sit here and tell you that this was $30 well spent. Are these rewards associated with a sense of prestige? Visually, yes. This gets a 2 out of 5 because visually, they do kind of look prestigious. There's no equivalent to them. You can't buy many of these types of MTX in-game already. This is the only way to get them, so they do have some sense of prestige associated with them. But in terms of difficulty, I'm not looking at anyone with these effects thinking, wow, they earned hard for that. If anything, if this was rated on difficulty alone, this would be like a -6 out of 5. Does this Battle Pass encourage trying new and different parts of the game you might not have tried previously? Absolutely not. This is the easiest 0 I'm going to give this Battle Pass out of this entire list. There is nothing here that would encourage you trying a part of the game you hadn't before. Atlas progression is pretty darn core to the endgame of Path of Exile. It's not optional. Calling Atlas progression optional is like calling breathing an optional part of staying alive. Does this Battle Pass encourage longer play hours? For 99% of you, probably not. The only reason this gets a 1 out of 5 is because it successfully raised the price of Doriani's Machinarium to I think 15x off the top of my head. There are a handful of people out there who just want the Headhunter effect and are willing to get 117 out of 117 on their Atlas for the sake of the Battle Pass. So it gets a 1 out of 5, but I can't really say that's much of an achievement. Broad Appeal gets a 2 out of 5 because of the Watcher's Eye, because of the Headhunter, and because of the Bottled Faith, but even that's a stretch. Less than half of the Battle Pass has Broad Appeal, and it's half of only 7 items. 7 items isn't a lot. You would expect the Battle Pass to have maybe 30, 40 cosmetic effects. We're only talking about 7. And if you look at the other half of the items that don't have Broad Appeal, they're extremely niche. Miona was already an item that had fallen out of favor a long time ago, and it got nerfed this league. I don't know many people that are using this item, so it's mind-boggling to me that we decided to put it into a Battle Pass that only has room for 7 items. Does this Battle Pass encourage additional purchases via having disjointed rewards, for lack of a better term? Not really. In fact, in some cases, it probably has the opposite effect. If you look at the Dying Sun cosmetic effect, it seems to apply a celestial effect to your projectiles while affected by Dying Sun. I can imagine some people might have been looking into a celestial MTX for their skill, but realize they're just going to get it for free from Dying Sun anyway, so why bother buying additional MTX? They also missed opportunities here. If the Mjolnir one had an automaton effect, maybe you could have encouraged people to buy more automaton MTX. This is an MTX effect that is applicable to most lightning skills, and most of those lightning skills are played with Mjolnir. This was a massively missed opportunity in my opinion. The only reason why this one gets a 1 out of 5 is because of the Bottled Faith effect. It's got a really nice red ground effect that might encourage you to buy some red MTX if you don't already have it. That's the only reason it gets a 1 out of 5. If not for that, this is another one that probably should have been in the negatives. Does this battle pass enhance the experience of a new patch? Most definitely not. Not only does it not fit any of their criteria for enhancing the experience of a new patch, it wasn't even released at the start of a new patch, where I think we're close to the end of week 2 of the patch. A lot of people are already starting to wrap up their league. I've been talking to people that think they have a few days left of the league in them. Some people, at best, probably going to be playing for another 2 to 3 weeks. Releasing it 2 weeks into a patch? That was wrong. That was straight up a misfire. I don't know what the hell was going on there, but you can't release a battle pass 2 weeks into a patch. That's insane. An accidental 5 out of 5. This battle pass absolutely avoids encouraging burnout. That's because there's no challenge or grind associated with it whatever. You get it for free. If you're burnt out from doing this battle pass, Path of Exile just isn't the game for you to begin with. 5 out of 5, but if anything, it's kind of an insult that this one gets a 5 out of 5. You should not be getting a 5 out of 5 on this one. The final grade of this battle pass is 14 out of 50. On my grading scale, that's a D+. It's not quite an F, but it's very far from a pass. This is a very laughable attempt at a battle pass, and I could not be more critical of it. I love GGG, and I love what they've done with this patch, but this battle pass, I don't know what to say about it. There were so many things wrong about this, that even though I'm currently dealing with personal issues and unable to release videos at the moment, I still decided to take time out of my very busy schedule to make a video on this so I could talk about how bloody stupid this was. Now for the fun and controversial part of this video, and I really want to make clear, this is just a personal opinion, and it's not even fully serious. Everything you saw up until now was my professional opinion, backed by university study. This is not. This is just me coming up with nonsense, the kind of shit you would see on Reddit, in fact. So, my crackpot theory is that the marketing team had little to no involvement in the Battle Pass, and this actually came directly from Chris. Now, unsurprisingly, all of my evidence is circumstantial. That's the kind of evidence that doesn't hold up in court. Nonetheless, we're going to talk about it. So, the first thing is that Chris did a voiceover for the preview video. He's very rarely involved in promoting MTX, but he has talked about Battle Passes in the past. He's talked about why they don't do them, but he seems to be passionate about the topic nonetheless. It definitely appears to be something on his radar. The fact that he's promoting this with a voiceover makes me feel that he feels like he has some kind of foot in the race here. The other thing that tips me off to this is the fact that Aegis Aurora and Mjolnir were included in a Battle Pass that only had 7 cosmetic effects. If you think you're going to put out a Battle Pass of 7 cosmetic effects, you probably want to put the most generic items that you can so that as many people as possible feel like they are benefiting from the pass. Well, Aegis Aurora and Mjolnir are items that have fallen out of favor a long time ago. However, back when Chris used to actively play Path of Exile, these items are a little more popular. He probably has some kind of sentimental feelings towards them. So I wouldn't be surprised if he chose these items because he personally really liked these items. Additionally, Chris can't really estimate whether the price was good or bad because he's rich. He doesn't know the price of bread, most likely, kind of like when those politicians get quizzed on what the price of gas is and stuff like that. They don't know because they're too wealthy, they're too disconnected from the way an average person lives. Chris is in charge of a multi-million-dollar company and is being bought out by Tencent. I don't mean this in any kind of insulting way. If anything, it's a credit to him. He's a huge success. It's kind of incredible how he went from some Magic the Gathering geek to where he is in life today. He's got a family, he's got a wife and children. He is so busy with all these things that don't relate to the stuff we care about that he can't possibly know that the value he's offering is not worth $30. Especially if he's the one that set the price point. This just makes the most sense. This is why so many people are complaining and feel like the price is either too expensive or the Battle Pass offers too little for how much it's asking. Finally, I think the main bit of evidence here is that it's just a very, very, very unconventional Battle Pass. It ticked none of the boxes, and we went through all the criteria. We went through things that I was taught in my first year in university. My very first marketing class, I truly believe at least half of that class could have put together a better Battle Pass than GGG did today, or at least would have had the common sense to know that it wasn't worth releasing in the state that they had prepared. This could have only really come from someone who is just really out of touch with how these things should be marketed, and it only makes sense that it came from Chris, really. You know, it ticked none of the boxes, as I mentioned, and this reeks of being forced in by a game developer. Someone who is not playing the game, someone who's designing the game. Someone who understands the concepts, but in the wrong way and without the wrong frame of mind. The kind of frame of mind that we can all relate to. So, yeah, that's all my evidence. It's totally circumstantial. Don't take this too seriously and think that I'm making any kind of personal attacks on Chris. I'm not. I'm actually a huge Chris Wilson fan, although we disagree on some stuff. I feel mostly positive things towards him, but I think what went wrong here is basically that Chris has been dwelling on the idea of Battle Pass for many years, and at some point he's decided, hey, everyone's doing it, everyone's doing a lot worse than Battle Passes, we're doing NFT loot boxes now. Maybe, just maybe, Path of Exile can have a Battle Pass. Our challenges are already successful, so let's just do a Battle Pass, and if people want it, they can buy it. If not, they don't buy it. But, you know, these are some things I've been dwelling on. I'd like to have cool effects for these items that have sentimental value to me. That's what I think happened. I think it's as simple as that. I don't think we have to overlook it. I don't think we need to suspect that the marketing team doesn't have a marketing degree or anything like that. I just think, quite frankly, it came from Chris Wilson himself, and Chris is just out of touch with the way these things are normally done. If you like this video, give me a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm wrapping up my personal stuff later today, so the Twink video is coming out tomorrow. Really sorry about the delay and the silence on this channel, just been really caught up with a lot of personal IRL stuff. Nothing could be done. But yeah, see you guys next time.